Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bernice and now I want to share some tips about how to speak in English fluently and confidently. Sometimes you find some difficulties to speak in English as a foreign language, so here are some tips that can be useful for you to speak English fluently and confidently. First tips is listen. Listening is a basic step that you can do to improve your speaking skill. For the people who learn a new language, listening can be a good way to make them speak. If you learn English, you can listen to English music or English speeches. As a result, you can have a better accent like native speakers if you are listening. You can also listen to the sounds, rhythms, and patterns of the speech. If you do not understand it about the content that you are listening to, just try to understand it. For example, you find a vocabulary that you do not know. My suggestion is try to remember about the word of the vocabulary and search it on the dictionary, so you can find the meaning of the vocabulary. After several times you listen, try to speak. Then use English in daily life. Use English in daily life as much as possible. It is very important to feel attached to English language if you want to improve your speaking skill. It means that you should have a frequent communication with English. You can do that by practicing your English skill every day. You can use English for several minutes a day. It is a better way than you use English for several hours but once a week. Besides, you can read all the things in English and practice to think in English when you are doing a homework or an exercise. Thirdly, say the things in different way. Say the things in different way or words. A common thing when you learn to speak in English is you have an idea in your mind, but you cannot find a way how to express the idea to everyone. It can be a bad thing if you speak with the native speaker. It happens because you do not remember many vocabularies in your mind. But you should not to be very frustrated. You can solve the problem by describing the idea in a different way. For example, if you do not know how to mention onion, you can describe it by saying, the white vegetable and you can cry when you cut it. When you succeed in describing the thing in a different way, the person who talks with you can understand what you mean. This way can improve your speaking skill too. Number 4. Practice to talk to yourself. This way can be a very excellent way to develop the fluency as well as your confidence to speak in English. When you do this way, you do not have a pressure to be perfect. Only speak whatever idea that you want to speak because nobody will hear your mistakes. Then you can imagine that there is another person is asking you a question. You answer that question by yourself. It is true that it is a very silly thing, but this way can be a great way to practice your English. The next step, record the voice. Record your voice when you are learning in speaking. As you know, Pronunciation is also an important thing when you are learning speaking. So you can improve that by recording your voice on a phone. At first, maybe it will be a weird thing because you hear your own voice, but it can be a good way when you do that very often. You can improve your pronunciation like a native speaker. After that, the important tips is do not think too much about grammar. When you learn to speak in English, one of your fears is you make a mistake in grammar. It is one of the biggest mental blocks for English learners. So they will be nervous or afraid to speak in English. You should not worry too much about that because the native speakers also make the grammar mistakes. The important point is you can communicate well by delivering your idea. That is the point of fluency. The 7. Learn from everyone. You do not have to only learn how to speak English from textbooks and teachers. You can practice speaking English fluently with everyone. Imagine if you help someone to speak your native language. You will be happy to help them. So you can ask your friends or English native speakers help you to practice and learn from them. The last step is be confident. This last step can be a key for you to speak English confidently and fluently. You have to be confident with yourself. You can do that by thinking that you are not the learners. On the contrary, you have to think that you are the native speakers. So you will be more confident. In the addition, you also have to think everything in English. For example, you do not imagine the word apple in your native language then translate it into English, but you try to imagine the apple in English word directly. It improves the fluency in speaking. That's all the tips guys about how to speak English confidently and fluently. I hope you enjoy my video. See you next time.